Do the 2024 Seattle Seahawks have room for Dee Williams on their roster? What's going on, everybody? Good morning. We have made it to Wednesday, and I think today's the day where we spend a little bit more time talking about one particular Seahawk player that wasn't really part of the plan, wasn't really part of the conversation until very recently. Like, this was a guy who was kind of a afterthought until I would say maybe the first preseason game, but you could argue as recently as the second preseason game, there wasn't really a lot to say about him other than he's a guy who's here for a little bit and he won't be here in September. But we got to talk about Dee Williams a little bit because there's something kind of interesting happening here. So I want to spend some time on this. I understand that he's not the most impactful player in the world, but there is a chance that he could be impactful here. And you look at the way the Seahawks are doing things right now in the preseason and some of the buzz from camp, it's kind of starting to feel like they're going to try to make something happen here. I'm not going to say that he is the guy. I'm not going to say that he is making the 53-man roster. In fact, if you asked me at this very moment, do I think Dee Williams is going to make the 53-man roster, I would say no, but it's not a definitive no anymore. It's a passive, tentative, I'm not so sure anymore, no. And there's certainly some room for debate. I still have questions, but Dee Williams is bringing some great versatility to the table here. Dee Williams is bringing a multifaceted game that may end up proving more valuable than a player who might be a little bit better, but is a little bit more narrow in his use case. So, we're going to spend some time on Dee Williams, but first, I hope you like this video. If you do, please click the like button down below, the thumbs up, helps the channel out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. All right, so Dee Williams, what is Dee Williams, really? Where are we starting here? Because obviously when he came out of college, he was not drafted. He was a UDFA, and there wasn't really a lot to say about him because at Tennessee, like this is at the college level, by the way. This is not the NFL. This is the Tennessee Volunteers. He was a return man. His most prolific thing was returning. He was a punt returner and a kick returner. He was actually a really good punt returner. Averaged over 15 yards per return, had 2 touchdowns in 35 attempts across 2 years. Kick returns more okay, like adequate, but that was his game. And you can definitely look at this and go, okay, this guy's really good at this stuff, right? He had 2 punt return touchdowns in 2 years. Like I said, in 15.4 average, 18.7 in 2022 alone. And in 2023, he expanded out to being a kick returner as well, and it wasn't great, but it was fine. And you're like, okay, there's a little bit of gas here. So what does he do on defense? Well, nothing really. Across 2 years playing for Tennessee, he had 7 tackles, 0 passes defensed, barely played in the secondary for the Tennessee Volunteers. He forced a fumble in 2022. That's kind of it. So it wasn't defense, and I'll tell you, it's not offense either. He had 2 catches in 2023 for 10 yards. So a complete non-entity when it came to offense or defense. All he did was play special teams, and he was good at it, right? Like I just said, the punt return stuff is really solid, really impressive, honestly. So there's something here, but this is not the kind of player that typically makes the NFL, even as a 90-man roster guy. This is the kind of guy who gets a job selling cars or working in a pharmacy or something like that after the college career is over typically. So just for him to make it here is pretty impressive. And to further the kind of confusion here when we're trying to figure this out, you go back to like I'll just give you an example. I'll link to this article on Field Goals. I'll look at this article, and you can find this from many other places. I'll just use this article as an example. Dee Williams, when he came here, was listed as a wide receiver. He was considered to be a wide receiver by most people. Most reporters said that he was a wide receiver when we signed him. And that's the way I thought his signing was to be taken. But so far, the Seahawks, and this is training camp and a couple of preseason games, they have used Dee Williams pretty much exclusively as a cornerback when he's playing defense or offense. In fact, he hasn't played any offense at all, really. He's played 0 snaps on offense. He is a full-time cornerback across 28 snaps. Significant number of snaps the last 2 preseason games. So we are seeing Dee Williams get utilized in that particular way. This is how we view him. By the way, for whatever it's worth, his PFF grade over the last 2 games he's played has actually been pretty good. Last week, he was one of our highest graded players. The week before, he was not graded well, but he did allow 1 catch on 4 targets, which, I mean, on the surface level, I don't mind that at all. He had a pass breakup in this last game. So, it seems like there's a little something here. Seems like there might be a little bit something with the wide receiver stuff as well, and then you have special teams. So do you see the potential value? You probably do. If you're still here, you probably understand where the potential value lays. This is a guy who can help you on special teams, and he might be able to help you offensively and defensively. It just kind of depends on what you want. So in our particular case, we wanted another cornerback, so Dee Williams goes out there as a cornerback, and he has not looked bad. And I know it's preseason, and I know he's going against lesser competition, but it's not like we would be looking to Dee Williams to cover up the best or second best or even third best receiver for the Seahawks, Seahawks defense when the season starts in a couple of weeks here. So it's not like he would be anything more than a depth piece in that regard anyway. But you watch that second preseason game. Every punt return, I think every single punt return was taken by Dee Williams. He was the guy we wanted to put out there to return the punts. That first game, they tried a few different guys. So it sure seems like they looked at everybody and were like, Dee Williams is our best guy. He's got to be the guy. And it's preseason, right? So if you're trying to find a guy, you'd think you'd be swapping guys in and out and giving a bunch of guys an opportunity still. We decided to give every punt return that I can recall from that game to Dee Williams as if we know he's going to make the team, right? But again, I got to ask, who comes off the roster for him, right? Who are you getting rid of? I mean, theoretically, if you were going to do this, you'd be getting rid of either a receiver or a defensive back. But wide receiver, we've been through this, right? This is not too different than the Brady Russell conversation. We're not getting rid of Metcalf, JSN, or Lockett. Not getting rid of Shenault or Bobo. Derek Young's the only guy you could consider. But Derek Young is another guy who offers multifaceted value. He's good on special teams. He's just not a return man. He's good on having some flexibility on offense with the way that he can line up. And I don't get the sense that this team is moving on from Derek Young. Mike McDonald went out of his way to praise him very recently. And yeah, secondary, same thing. We're not getting rid of any of these safeties. We need 4. And the solution presumably would be you get rid of one of your rookie corners, right? And then, by the way, even after that, you would have to decide that you'd rather have Dee Williams than Artie Burns, who is a veteran, proven cornerback that has some skins on the wall in his NFL career. So even then, even if it's somebody like DJ James getting booted because he played so bad against the Titans, it's still not a guarantee Dee Williams would be your next man up. But if we say that he is, that would be it. I don't think this team is going to move off of Jackson or Brown unless they get a trade offer that they like. By the way, I reported last time I made a video concerning Mike Jackson. I said that his contract was like $3.1 million. It's not. He actually took a big pay cut down to 1.2. So I think that really removes the possibility of a trade because that's a much more valuable asset at that price. So it's really just going to be James or Pritchett, and at this point it would probably be James because he played so poorly in that second preseason game, but that's the only way. And I don't know if this team is looking to move off of a guy that they liked enough to draft, right? A guy who actually had success at the collegiate level. Dee Williams did not. Dee Williams didn't even get on the field, really, at the collegiate level. But there is that special teams element. There is that potential of him adding a little bit as a wide receiver. Like, in case of emergency, break glass and put Dee Williams out there at receiver. If everybody else gets hurt, I mean, you're probably better off with Dee Williams trying to play receiver than somebody like Julian Love, right? And now we're getting into really, really worst case scenarios. So I don't want to delve too far into that. But this one's tough because at this point, based on that second preseason game, the only logical and reasonable conclusion is that we feel like Dee Williams is our best punt returner. And that's completely understandable given his success at it in college. But at the same time, who's coming off to make room for him? It's much like the Brady Russell question. It doesn't lend itself to an easy and obvious answer. But let me know what you guys think. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. There will be other videos later. There should be a short later today as well. Keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching. We'll see if the Seahawks choose to illuminate us with some more information later today. If they are, I will be here to discuss it. All right. Peace out. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good day.